Hey, what's up guys? So in this video, we're going to be taking a look at some preliminary test results with the new Escort Max 360C. I did a video on it recently, and basically the idea is it is an updated Escort Max 360, so you can see it's got a new redesigned case, but the main selling point is the fact that it has Wi-Fi built in, so it can automatically update the firmware and update the red light camera database if you have a Wi-Fi hotspot in your car, or maybe you pull up at home or something. So that's kind of the big trick new feature with it. But what I'm curious about is how does the performance stack up relative to some of the other detectors, long distance range, all that kind of stuff. Well, we are in luck. The Texas Countermeasure Testing Group had one on hand here this past weekend. It was a retail unit that was purchased directly from Escort and sent over to them for testing purposes. And we've got a number of different detectors here that they're going to be testing, including the Max 360C, the original Escort Max 360, a Valentine 1, the original Escort Redline, not the new Redline EX, as well as the Uniden R3 and the R1. Now, all the detectors that have segmentation available were set up to be segmented 258. There was some confusion with the Max 360 where they thought they'd set it up 258, but it's a little bit different than some of the other detectors, so it was actually set up to scan all of Ka band and all of K band, just like the Max 360. So an updated test is going to be coming with band segmentation, but this one is going to be set up with the detector scanning everything. Now, the test that was used, the course rather, was down in Texas. Test course nice and straight like this, a little over 2 miles long. So nice long straightaway start to finish, right? Here's a look at the test course itself. You can see the radar gun pointed downrange of the course like this. Now, the testers actually tried a couple different things. They tried a bunch of different radar guns, including different guns for 33.8, 34.7, 35.5, and K-band. So we're going to be testing all the important bands. X-band was not tested, though. They also tried some things as far as aiming the gun directly down the course, or to change things up, maybe aiming it at about a 40-degree angle across the course like this. It reduces the amount of radar that's going downrange of the course, changes things up, reduces range, and gives us something else to take a look at, right? So we've got a couple different things that's going on. They actually did 118 runs. So there was a ton of testing. So let's go ahead and dive into the results. And there's a good amount here to share. If you want to take a look at all the raw data itself, it's posted on RDF, and I'll put a link in the video description to where you can go and take a look at all this yourself. But starting with 33.8. So longest win of the day was the Uniden R1, followed by the Uniden R3. So not a big surprise with the Unidens being out in the lead. The red line was actually just behind. And then we had the Max 360, the original, the V1, and the Max 360C, which actually came in last. And when I saw this, I was a little bit concerned for, well, two reasons. One, this is the most expensive windshield mount radar detector on the market. And two, well, the 360, especially my copy, I've always known it to be pretty strong on 33.8, which is what I see most of around here. So I was a little bit concerned about seeing this, but that's just one band and one test and even one copy of the detector. So let's keep going and you'll get a better idea of the big picture. Now, switching over to 34.7, we've got the Unidens up here in the lead. We've got the original Escort Redline right there. We had the Max 360C, the new one, followed by the V1 and the Max 360. These guys were down there, and in this case, the Max 360 actually had a little bit of an edge, so kind of trading shots back and forth, right? You can still see it's in the same ballpark, a little bit better on this one, a little bit worse on the other. Okay. There was a bunch more 34.7 testing as well. This one is with the radar gun actually pointed on axis instead of off axis down at an angle. We had 3 different detectors pretty much maxing out the course, R1, R3, and Redline. I was a little bit behind technically, but they're all right around the same range, so these guys are pretty much maxing out the course and pretty much the same thing. Now we had the V1 down here, and then we had the Max 360s, the original one and the new 360C, pretty much turning in the same results here on 34.7. Now switching to a different radar gun, we've got the Stalker ATR on axis. We've got the Redline, actually believe it or not, getting a little bit better range technically here than the Unidens, but again, they're all maxing out the course. They're right in the same area, so same results there. We had the V1, the Max 360C, and the original Max 360 just trailing a little bit behind. So you can see they all did a little bit better against the ATR, which is a gun that we know does put out more power than some of the other radar guns. So that was cool to see. Now switching over to 35.5, we've got the R1 and the R3 pulling up in the lead. The other detectors were actually just back behind it, including the Redline, the V1, the Max 360C, and the Max 360. So a little bit of separation here, but not really as much as we've seen before. Now switching over to putting the gun on axis instead of off axis, we've got the R1, R3, Redline, and now a little bit more separation with the original Max 360C, Max 360, again, same results here, and then the V1 right back here. And then finally, For KA band, we're switching to a different radar gun. We've got the custom Talon, so also 35.5, but again, different radar gun. United's in the lead. That's the case typically is. The red line, the V1, and then the Max 360s were down here in the bottom. The original, and then the Max 360C. So as you can see, sometimes it's about the same as the original Max 360, sometimes below, sometimes above. So it kind of goes back and forth, but it seems to be kind of in the same ballpark, right? Okay, less here on this one. That's true. Now, switching over to K-band. So as far as the K-band results, we've got pretty similar results here with a lot of these detectors, including the R1 and the R3. The Max 360 actually did really well here, just slightly edged out the Max 360C, the new one. We had the red line right down here, and then the V1 actually came in last. So as you can see, the Max 360 can definitely hold its own at times. It's not going to be as capable as the R1 and the R3, but that's kind of to be expected. It has a lot of other features to make up for it, right? And then there's some more commentary about the rest of the stuff. So that's the raw kind of test results, taking a look and see how it compares. And all these detectors, you can see they ran everything 3 times to account for any sort of run-to-run variation, or in case maybe traffic impacted the results, that kind of stuff. So they did a bunch of different runs, and these are like the averages of the 3 different runs for each detector against each different radar gun. Now, as far as interpreting the results, I guess there's a couple ways of doing it. You know, we can sit here and start with just the objective results, and then we can say, okay, now what do the results tell us and what do they mean? Well, I guess there's a couple different ways. You can take a look at it and say, oh, the Max 360 sucks, it performs worse, it's more expensive, and yet you get less range. And that's true. And for many people, that's really important because, well, range is the most important attribute. Or you can take a look at it and say, hey, you know, maybe it's not the best performer, but it has a lot of other features that make up for it, like the auto lockouts and the Bluetooth and now the Wi-Fi, and it's got the arrows like the V1, but it's integrated and doesn't require a phone and blah, blah, blah. So you could say that, yes, I understand it doesn't have the longest range, but it has a lot of other features that make up for it that could definitely justify the price. And while it may not be the all-star performer of some of the more sensitive detectors that even cost less money, this is still going to be enough range to provide me for a save in practice, you know? So you kind of have to take a look at the big picture here and not just take a look at the long distance results themselves. They're just one part of the equation. Something else to consider is, you know, the test course that they used, it was in Texas, and these guys are getting long, straight, flat runs like this. You know, they're getting, anywhere from a mile to sometimes 2 miles of alert distance. On my Uniteds, the longest range detection I've ever gotten is like a mile. I'm happy to get half a mile because I've got a lot of curves and hills and this kind of stuff. So I look at this and I say, well, that's cool that they're getting 2 miles of range. But when I look at that, I say these detectors are much more likely to give me an alert, even in tougher situations due to the increased sensitivity than some of the other detectors. And that's something that personally I take a look at, and I don't say, okay, well, I can get, a mile or half a mile. I just say, these ones give me more range and it's going to do a better job of giving me detection in a tougher situation. But, in easier situations, these detectors will definitely still do the job, and they have a lot of other features like your arrows and GPS and auto lockouts and Bluetooth and Wi-Fi and all the other stuff that make up for it that could, for a lot of people, definitely make it a more desirable package and worth the extra money. So anyway, without getting too much into a detector versus detector comparison, that's a look at the results. Again, these are the first sets of results coming in with the new Max 360C that just got released. Again, it's in stock now. I'll put a link in the video description if you want one. Purchase one, send over to Texas, and those guys had a chance to test it. So definitely more testing to come. A couple people on the forums also have copies of their detectors that they've also purchased, and they're giving their feedback as far as how the Wi-Fi is working, the new design, performance, filtering, all the relevant stuff that we're all wondering about, So definitely take a look on the forum, and I'll post a link in the video description to the Escort section when we're all discussing this stuff. And of course, some more test results to come with more copies of the detectors, testing it with band segmentation to see what kind of difference that makes to performance, and all that good stuff. So anyway, there you go. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Make sure you're subscribed, of course, and I'll continue posting more information as the test results roll in. So awesome. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later.